Football Manager scouts over 480,000 footballers and soccer players all over the world, and they don't just assign them a current ability, they assign them a potential ability rating as well. And as a result, every year, right when Football Manager comes out, we spend hours live on stream, which if you want to watch that, the link is in the description, combing through the entire database to find the best hidden Wonderkids, who at the very least could become very good Premier League level players, and at the top of this list could become world-beating stars. And we start with number 30, Daniel Daga from the Nigerian League. He is still 16 years old. He plays defensive midfield for Enyimba International FC, who have a tremendous nickname, the People's Elephant. His current ability is rated 86. Now that's on a scale of 1 to 200 if you don't play Football Manager, so that's pretty decent to begin with. But his potential ability range in the game is 130 to 160. Now 160 is the level of Ronaldo, Romelu Lukaku, and Casemiro in Football Manager. That's the higher end of what Football Manager thinks Daniel Daga could achieve. As for right now, he is a bit small, but it's probably because he's 16 years old. He's 5'7", 127 pounds, but a good athlete with a good natural ability to pass the ball and tackle it away. Kind of important things when it comes to playing defensive midfield, don't you think? Number 29, goalkeeper from Brazil, Luiz Turato. He's 17 years old. He plays for Juventude, which is in the second division of Brazil. So according to the subjective criteria we've applied to this list, being in the second division of Brazil, that counts. You have to be in an obscure location, and you can't be older than 19 at the start of the FM database. You also have to have high potential. And that is exactly what Luiz Turato has. Now, when we found him, somebody in the chat on the stream said, I live right near where this guy plays, and he is definitely very good. I don't doubt it. He's a very young 17-year-old. He's already got 90 current ability, and his potential ability range is 130 to 160. They've also given him a great personality in the game, meaning they think that he is likely to reach that potential. Number 28, 19-year-old Slovenian center back, Marcel Ratnik. He plays for Olimpia Ljubljana, which is actually a team I just watched lose to a Faroese club in person in the Conference League, but Ratnik is still very good. As you'd hope, because he's older, he has a high current ability of 116, and you can see in the attributes Football Manager has given him, he's a very balanced player with decent physical ability, a good understanding of the game, and solid technique, not just defending, but passing the ball as well. Even at the start of the database, he had almost 50 appearances for Olimpia Ljubljana, and he's made more this season. His potential ability is also 130 to 160. You can just assume every one of these players' potential is 130 to 160 until I tell you otherwise. Number 27, Jean Acurio, a 16-year-old Ecuadorian striker playing for Barcelona SC in Ecuador. He's a classic advanced forward type with good finishing, dribbling, and first touch. He also has a good burst of athleticism and can use either foot fairly well. He's just very young and has some time to try and work and grow in the Ecuadorian league, but being this young with a current ability of 89 already is a very good sign. Number 26, Marin Šotićek. I think I said, I tried. Šotićek is an 18-year-old winger on Lokomotiva who is rated as being a very, very dangerous dribbler already. In the scouting database, they've also given him the place's shots trait, so he's somebody that has the natural ability to finish things off, and well, Croatia always seems to have new guys coming up out of the fray, but he hasn't even made it to the top clubs in Croatia yet, so there is a long rise left for Marin Šotićek. Number 25, and if you're a fan of these lists or if you've watched me put them together on stream before, you've heard this name before. It's Oscar Pereira, the 17-year-old winger from Colombia. He plays for one of Colombia's featured clubs, Atlético Nacional, and he is an incredibly well-rounded attacking talent for someone who just turned 18 years old in real life. The YouTube channel Brazil Scout has already made a video about him called Oscar Pereira, He Was Born to Dribble. He's making an impact and projects as a player that could not only break into the Colombian national team, but into Europe's top leagues. Number 24, Filip Rezic, the Polish midfielder who's only 17 years old. He plays at Legia Warsaw. Now, Rezic might not be the best athlete, but he's certainly a smart player that has a lot of technical ability and a diverse skill set for his age. He plays as a natural creator and is someone that looks like a real dead ball threat as he develops further in his career. His current ability at just 17 is already 94. Number 23, Jakub Napoleon Ramsas. I too thought this name was made up, but this 19-year-old is very real and is Norwegian, actually. He's a forward midfield type player that plays for Tromsø in the Norwegian league, and he's someone that people in chat knew when I found him, a few of them. Party Souls. And that's because he's somebody that captivates with his creativity. Football Manager has given him a 16 out of 20 in flair, which is very high, and his dribbling is quite high as well. His current ability checks in at a really respectable 112, and of course he still has the potential ability of everybody on this list so far, 130 to 160. For number 22, we're going to the opposite end of the age spectrum to find center back Marvin Akahomen. Marvin Akahomen turned 16 on July 15th of this year. He plays for Basel in Switzerland, and if you know anything about Basel right now, they have become one of the worst teams in the Swiss top league out of absolutely nowhere. They're mirroring Ajax in the Netherlands. The bright side of that is they have Marvin Akahomen, who is rated as a very athletic and very committed, determined mentality monster type center back who plays predominantly with his left foot. His current ability in the game is 86, but he's so young he has plenty of time to grow into his potential, and that's what Basel will be hoping happens in real life as well, because mentality monster athlete left-footed center backs are not a dime a dozen. For number 21, it's a player that some of you might have heard of if you're from England, Cameron Humphreys from Ipswich Town. Ipswich is lighting the championship on fire right now, and Cameron Humphreys turned 20 at the end of October. He hasn't quite broken into the team yet, but clearly Football Manager thinks he has great potential and gave him some very good attributes at the start of the game. His current ability checks in at 109, and the balance of the attributes they've given him, from being a good finisher to somebody with literally good balance to having excellent intelligence throughout the game, means that he's somebody that can fill in any team and do almost any job anywhere near the midfield and help you win. Based off everything they've seen, I would expect him to break into the Ipswich first team over the course of this season. Though if I were them, I wouldn't change too much right now. For number 20, we're headed back to the Colombian League. Miguel Monsalve, an attacking midfielder for Independiente Medellin. He's still just 19 years of age, and somebody that is not only a goal threat, but a decent athlete and a creative force as well. He uses both of his feet well, and he's already a regular in the first team for Independiente Medellin, which means maybe Europe will come calling sooner rather than later. I mean, his current ability in FM is already 110. Number 19, Nicolo Tresoldi. Careful observers of the German game will already know who Nicolo Tresoldi is. He plays in the German second division for Hanover. He's an 18-year-old striker, but not necessarily a traditional number 9. Football Manager, and the way they've laid out his attributes, make him an incredibly well-rounded kind of complete forward. He uses both feet well, he can make passes, he understands the game. He's not a prolific goal scorer right now, but he's also a good athlete, a modern forward, if you will. Number 18 is a bit more off the beaten path, playing in Chile, to be more exact. It's Lucas Asadi, the left wing at Universidad de Chile, who has both Chilean and Iranian heritage, which is just a classic, incredibly normal mix. And while he may be small, just 5'6", 138 pounds, he has tremendous control of the ball. He also has creativity and a great first step, but the most important thing he has are multiple Chilean caps already. Lucas Asadi, despite playing in the Chilean league, has broken into the Chilean national team before the age of 20. Now, they might be going through a transitional period, but Lucas Asadi is going to be an important part of their future. His current ability is 112 in FM, which is very high for this list, but he's still behind number 17, Juan Jose Perez. He's an 18-year-old winger playing for America, the club in Quito, Ecuador, but he is Colombian. He moved to Ecuador when he was 16, and he has become a very explosive, creative dribbler. This is a guy with a lot of athleticism and a lot of talent and determination and creativity to take the ball past other people. He has to round out the rest of his game, but the potential is there, and he is already elite at carrying the ball past other people. Number 16, we're staying in South America once again, going to the Uruguayan League for Anderson Duarte. Duarte's 19 years old, and Football Manager feels like it already has a good grasp of his potential ability. It's put it hard locked at 143. But what makes Duarte stand out is his current ability, how good he is right now. He's a good athlete that uses both feet well. He can play all across the front four positions in any formation you want to run. He can score goals, he controls the ball well, and he has the creativity to be some type of playmaker in the future if he continues to reach that potential. He's a regular at Defensor Sporting in the Uruguayan League and a regular in the Uruguayan youth national teams already. But he wasn't good enough to crack the top 15. That starts with Marin Petkov of Bulgaria. He just turned 20 in real life and is a winger at Bulgarian club Lev Nevsky Sofia. He is also a very serious regular in the Bulgarian national team. Now, I know they're not the best, but they're still a good, competent national team that this guy, as a teenager, had already become a regular in. His potential ability is hard-coded in the game at 148, which is essentially the same level as like a Christian Eriksen right now. He's a left-footed player that likes to cut in from the right and has a real knack for goal scoring off the wing. Number 14 is the young Israeli forward Idan Toklomati. Now, he plays for Maccabi Petah Tikva, and even though he's 18, his current ability is already 110 in Football Manager. He's a very good athlete who's going to grow into that even more, and a natural finisher. His potential ability returns to the 130 to 160 range, but he's already a very good player. Number 13 is also a very good player right now, Viktor Jukanovic. The run on wingers continues because he's a 19-year-old Montenegrin winger playing in the Swedish league at Hammarby. Did you get all that? He's not as much of a creative force as he is a goal-scoring wing player. He has the same amount of finishing as number 14, Toklamati. He's still 19, he's already playing for the Montenegrin national team, and he has a current ability of 114 in Football Manager, with a potential ability of 130 to 160. But he paled in comparison to number 12, because number 12 got probably more hype from the chat while we were putting this together than anybody else, because people playing Football Manager have been signing this guy and making a ton of money. Number 12 is Philip Bundgaard. He's a 19-year-old Danish striker who plays for Randers in Denmark. At the start of the database, he already had 55 first-team appearances for Randers. The dude is a regular, and he is completely well-rounded, just as comfortable playing as a deep-lying forward as he is playing as an advanced forward. Pretty good athlete, pretty good finisher, pretty good passer, understands the game pretty well, and has a decent creative streak. He starts the game at Football Manager wanted by Chelsea, Bayern Munich, and Inter in this save that I just started up. So Philip Bundgaard is the real deal and has a lot of ability right now. His current ability is rated at a raucous 118, and his potential ability is 130 to 160. Number 11 is Romanian left back Andre Borza. Now, where he differs from Bundgaard is he's more than a year younger, and his current ability is over 100 in Football Manager too. Borza was purchased for over $1 million by Rapid Bucharesti going into this season while still aged 17. Unlike a lot of fullback prospects, he's not actually an outstanding athlete. He's just incredibly well-rounded. Plays good defense, he can be a threat when he goes forward, he understands the game well, and he's not slow, he's just not one of those explosive guys that doesn't know what to do when he gets there. But at long last, that brings us to the top 10, which starts with a second Slovenian, Luka Topalovic, a 17-year-old attacking midfielder who plays in the Slovenian league for Domžale. And as you can see here, even though he's 17, he's very good. His current ability is 103 at the start of the game. And while he's not much for defense, he can score, he can dribble, and he can pass, and even though he's 17, he already has a good mental understanding of the game, so he's not easy to press off the ball. That's kind of important in a number 10. His potential checks in at 130 to 160 as well, but there's only a few of those left. We're about to get to the people that have a chance to be real serious superstars. Not that I don't think they can't get there, but Football Manager thinks that their ceiling is a very good Premier League player, not a global superstar, and that holds true for number 9, Franco Gonzalez. The Uruguayan central midfielder and winger plays for Peñarol, the Uruguayan Giants. They actually bought him for over $2 million going into this season, and with good reason. His current ability in Football Manager is 125. This guy, according to Football Manager scouts, could do a real serious job for a good number of Premier League teams already. He is a tremendous midfield goal scorer. He can carry the ball and he works his tail off. He's also pretty decent with both feet, and he's still 19 years old in real life. But that potential ability is stuck at 130 to 160, so Football Manager doesn't think he can get too much better than where he is now. Now, number 8 is a player that is just starting to become well known. So well known that a couple of German viewers in the chat while we were making this list were insisting he was already too well known to be on it. But since he plays in the German 2nd division at Nuremberg, we thought we'd have Can Uzun anyways, because you may have not heard of him. He's burst onto the scene this year with Nuremberg in the 2nd division, making 12 appearances in that league at the time of this recording, and is just a very talented midfielder, attacking midfielder type. But there's one thing that separates him. He draws the eye during matches because of his creativity, and Football Manager scouting has reflected that. He has 17 out of 20 flair, which is incredibly high for a young player in FM. Can Uzun is fun to watch, but his potential ability is at 130 to 160, but he's the last player that is capped at 160. Because number 7 is Heriberto Jurado. He's a winger that plays for Club Necaxa in Mexico, and he has been a regular first-team player at Club Necaxa for a while. But Football Manager has some strong thoughts on his current ability, namely that it's just not very high. He's still 18 years old though, and his potential ability is from 140 to 170. Now, if he hits the high end at 170, that's the same ability in the game as Victor Osimhen and Son Heung-min. That means Heriberto Jurado could become a very good player, but he has a long way to go. Number 6 is 17-year-old Swede Lucas Bergvall. There are 2 regions that Football Manager seems to find most of its hidden Wonderkids: the more obscure leagues in South America and Scandinavia. And that's obviously where Lucas Bergvall is plying his trade at Djurgårdens in Sweden. A young central midfielder that can play all the way from defensive midfield to attacking midfield. He's a very good athlete with a model citizen personality, tremendous professionalism and application to the game. He's basically an athletic mentality monster, which maketh a great box-to-box midfielder in the future. His potential ability checks in at 140 to 170. But he didn't have enough ability to break into the top 5. That was instead reserved for a player from, of all places, Sunderland, Chris Rigg. Rigg just turned 16 in June and is already rated as a very talented central midfielder with the same potential ability of 140 to 170. If you're from England, you might have heard of Chris Rigg because he's made 6 championship appearances and scored at 16 years old. Like some of the other center mids on this list, he's balanced and can do it all from scoring to defending to passing, at least at a certain decent level, but because he's only 16, Football Manager has rated him as not very athletic, which is something he'll need to improve as part of his very high potential. Now, number 4 has no issues with athleticism. This is a guy I get goals from him tweeted at me like once a week. Nestori Irankunda, the young explosive forward from Australia. Football Manager has appropriately rated his insane athleticism, but they also managed to recognize his incredible creativity. Nestori Irankunda scores bangers in the Australian League. He is a very established regular at Adelaide United, and he's still not even 18 years old. And you know how you can tell he scores bangers? Football Manager gave him the player trait shoots with power. He's 17. His potential ability also checks in at 140 to 170. For number 3, we go back to Sweden. Jonah Kusi Asare, an incredibly young, turned 16 in July striker that turns out for AIK. And he does actually turn out for them. He has already made first-team appearances in Sweden at the age of 15 before he even turned 16. Now, he has a long way to go because he's still very young, but he is very tall, has good athleticism for his size, uses both feet very well, and has shown some natural finishing ability. Those are all the tools to make a real world-class striker out of, and his potential ability is rated at 140 to 170. But in the top 2, there's real separation. Number 2 is David Martinez from Venezuela. He is still now just 17 years old, and he is already playing in the Venezuelan national team while still being in the Venezuelan league. He plays for Managas and is a left-footed player that can play on both wings or an attacking midfield with comfort. A decent athlete, lot of creativity, and very dangerous over a dead ball. At 17, his current ability is already 104, and his potential ability is 140 to 170. And because he's already rated as so talented, he's probably going to reach it. And honestly, Venezuela could use a real star player. They're the only team in South American qualifying that's never made the World Cup. Maybe David Martinez can finally change that. But no one on this list, literally no one, has the same potential as the best hidden Wonderkid in Football Manager this year, Sverre Halseth Nippon. The 16-year-old Norwegian midfielder is a diamond in the rough at Rosenborg. He has Santi Cazorla levels of either footed. He's a natural playmaker with a lot of creativity. He controls the ball well. He obviously is young and is going to grow into being a better athlete as well, and he's already a super regular for Rosenborg. He's played 21 matches this year at the time of this recording in the league itself, and he's also been making appearances in European matches for Rosenborg. His market value is skyrocketed, and there's a real feeling that it's just a matter of time with Sverre Nippon. His potential ability is a truly insane 150 to 180. This guy almost made the list of the top Wonderkids in the entire game. He only missed it by a few spots. And he's playing in the Norwegian League. And if you want to orient yourself, if he hits the high end of his potential according to Football Manager, 180 is the current ability rating of Mo Salah. that's what they think of Sverre Halseth Nipa. This is an awesome list to make every year. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do subscribe to the channel. And if you want to look at the best overall Wonderkids on Football Manager this year, that's the video for you. Top 20, not a top 30. I was able to narrow that down a bit more. If it was a top 30, Sverre Halseth Nipa would be on that list as well, which is kind of crazy.